Hey everybody, how's it going? Going to be talking about the Pentagon, what I witnessed in the journey that I did this morning, just some feedback on what it looks like in the energy world, what it represents, pretty interesting stuff. I'm also going to be talking about energy protection. To plant the seed of divine truth, energy protection is the illusion of safety and security. So once you can live fearlessly, and you take down all the walls and you completely embrace life without resistance, now you are the energy protection. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. I have made several videos, by the way, and I haven't been able to properly share them. And I have been listening. I know you guys were talking about wanting some more feedback on Elon Musk, wanting some more feedback on, I'm a parent, I have kids in this technologically developing world, and what does life look like there. I also did a video looking into the Chinese New Year. Interesting content, but no ability to actually put it out there on YouTube. Just the way life has been, I just haven't been able to do it. So I'll give you a little bit of snapshot here. Elon Musk, some of the things that came forward about him. He's not a twisted person, by the way. He's just very devoted to his vision. He is so very, very devoted to his vision, okay? I have to emphasize that because he is aware of himself and aware of his viewpoint of what is going to build a better humanity, and it is this, okay? And he is growing rapidly with his view, and that makes some people uncomfortable because not everybody shares the same viewpoint. He also has this potential to become a bit of a mad scientist. So he is ingrained in his vision, right? But he's relentlessly ingrained in his vision. And his vision is the only vision, the only possible way. Yes, he's open-minded. Absolutely, he's open-minded, but he's very relentlessly nose to the grindstone, gotta get there. And the reason why he is in such a hurry in this life is because one of the greatest demons that he has to face is time. Is time a demon in your life? It is one in his life. So time looms over him and he's running out of time. So he has to work as hard and as fast as he can in order to achieve these goals, in order to protect humanity. So that is Elon Musk in a nutshell, okay? And yes, I experienced that in that journey. I also went into, again, this topic of children growing up in this technological world. One thing I want to tell you is, they have spirit guides and higher self. They have a destiny. They know exactly what they're immersing themselves into in this life. And so do we. We know that we are going to bring these souls into this world and that they are going to be a part of this expanding tree of life. And how is it all going to happen? How is it all going to work out? It's called having some faith here that everything is happening for all the right reasons. So learn and grow together. Enjoy learning and growing together in this strange new world, okay? Do your very best with it. That's kind of it in a nutshell. And one of the key components of the Chinese New Year planetary alignment stuff was stop worrying. That was one of the biggest details. And the reason why is because if we are living life and we're putting worry before life living, then to live life then is to worry. So wherever you are worried, just here's the ball of worry, okay? See that? I'm carrying worry in my hand. I'm just taking your worries here. And then I'm just taking that ball, just boop, over there. Now the worry is gone, okay? So now you can actually take in everything else, which I think is interesting because I'm going to be talking about the Pentagon and energy protection stuff. And so worry isn't going to get you anywhere. Energy protection, another detail about it is, let's say life has given us a lot of reason to not feel safe energetically, and not feel safe in relationships, or safe in our job, or safe with our future, or safe. There's a lot of reasons why as a human being we are just naturally fearful. We live in a state of survival, really. And so you might use a spiritual pathway as a tool in order to survive a human existence. So if we take out the experience of survival and just embrace living, now we can just be exposed. And you are protected, so to speak, by your higher self and your spirit guides. And because you have a divine path, you are part of a domino effect. So you're going to experience what you're meant to experience. And the more fearful you are, the more you're eating yourself up, and the more you are avoiding then living and experiencing the challenges that come. You're going to be challenged whether you're protecting yourself from it or not. I mean, I see that all the time in sessions. And people want to avoid problems. Who doesn't want to avoid problems? I need easy going. But when you're avoiding problems, you avoid living. You just want to have a happy life. Well, you weren't born to just have a happy life. Nobody here just has a happy life. Even people that we perceive as having it all end up committing suicide for reasons we can't understand. Like, there's no real happy life because everybody was born to go through this growth process. And growing comes with pain, growing pains, right? So one thing I want to tell you about energy protection is just to remind you, if I project my consciousness to someone, like Elon Musk, for instance, to get to know him more, I'm communicating with his frequencies, okay? He's just a cosmic library. We can all talk to each other, living, deceased, any time and space. We can talk to any consciousness because we're a part of each other. So if I go to Elon Musk, where's his bodyguards? Where's his energy protection? Where's his higher self? How come nobody's standing there like, you're not able to come in here. We told you couldn't come in here. No, zero, zilch. There is nobody protecting you. You aren't even protecting yourself. That's the energetic truth. So you think you are. That gives you safety and security, but you are still going to be experiencing things, and you can't consciously comprehend it all. I guarantee I'm getting visits from beings throughout time and space, human world, alien beings, angels, demons, all happening, and I'm only consciously aware of so much. That's why I have this subconscious universe where all this stuff is playing out. And when I die, I'll become aware of so much more than I could possibly comprehend in my day-to-day life right now. So that's just the way of it. That's the actual truth of it. So now we're going to talk about the Pentagon, what I saw this morning. All right, so the Pentagon. This is Abbey next day. Ended up having to go, so I couldn't finish that video. And I'm sitting down, I'm going to finish it today. I'm going to talk about what I experienced, and I went and visited the Pentagon at 2 different times. And the first time I experienced it, one of the startling truths was that the Pentagon was not a wise shape, and that there's an ascended version of the Pentagon that represents a ring. So the Pentagon itself is not a wise shape because it's containing the information, it's containing the truth, it's containing intelligence. And so these points are somehow representing not a ring. It's not representing something far more complex than I can understand. So they showed me the power of the ring based upon you cut a tree down, and then the tree's made out of these many rings. And the way that the tree grows then defines its life and its age. These rings are important in some cosmic way, okay? So you drop a pebble in the pond, and what happens? It's got this nucleus point. And then from this nucleus point, then it has these expanding rings, right? And so the rings represent time and expansion. But the Pentagon did not represent time and expansion. It represents a prison for information. All right, when I went and visited it for the first time, it was just this big bubble head, okay? It was like, here's the Pentagon, but here's this big bubble around it. It was an airhead. It represented a dummy energy. Dumb, airhead, bad idea, energy. Really low on the totem pole of intelligence, actually. So what is so dumb about the Pentagon? And what is so lacking in the ascended version of itself about the Pentagon? Because the Pentagon is a control schematic. It represents, we contain the information, we control who has access to the information. You out there? Nope. Only special people? Yes. So that's a dumb idea. It's a dumb idea. The human race can't actually grow when there's protected information. We have to all have access to it. We have to all be nurtured by the information. The information is like a library. How are we supposed to really cherish the gift of intelligence if we don't share the intelligence? So you could say, well, I'm pretty sure there's probably some intelligence out there that's not really appropriate for the public. But that actually shows where we're at as a human race.
We got to spy on and have this information that we know, that they don't know, that we know, and then we can use it against them, because that's where our mentality is at. That's how we've evolved. So what is trust? What is, it's just like, we're all working through our relationship with safety and security. So I guess there's energy protection for you. If we're all fearful and we need to be protected, and then this information needs to be protected, and so we're still living in a place of fear as a human race. And so here's the Pentagon. The Pentagon is afraid of what? It needs to protect itself from us. So the world, actually. It has to keep this information safe from everybody else except the few people who can access it. And so it's protecting that information. That's its energy protection. But you can just waltz into the Pentagon's energy and then you can start exploring whatever you come across. That's the truth. There are no boundaries. There are no walls. There's nothing but freedom. My soul has no shackles. I find it kind of aggravating, because the joy of learning, the joy of sharing is just so important to me. I've got a lot of stories that I could tell about aggravation. I remember when I was a lot younger and I was a teenager, it was very obvious to me that I didn't want to play this game of life. And I remember being in high school, and you have these kids that they're good looking, they have nice clothes, they have friends, and they have finances, needs met. And here they are teasing some kid who's not good looking, has fewer friends, and doesn't wear all the right clothes. And it didn't make any sense to me. Like, why was that important to you to destroy that person's life, where you seem to carry this torch of having so much, and then where is their value? Just keep smashing them into the ground till there's nothing left. And so I'm observing this world around me, and I remember telling God, I'm not going to participate in this stupid circus charade. I'm not going to participate in it. I want nothing to do with it. And it was at that time that I was trying to figure out ways to leave my body and never come back. So yes, a suicidally depressed teenager. And I struggled with suicidal depression for a long time. So I've already been there, done that. For all those people that are like, oh, let's exit the matrix, let's leave. And I'm never going to come back. I already did that for decades, until I realized that you can't just go. You're important. You're here because you're important, and it's important to be here, and it's important to be and witness and see and participate and say nothing or say something. It's important to face all this stuff. It's important to be here. And so once I figured that out, I started changing the language inside myself to, like, I want to live. I want to embrace this life. I don't need to exit the matrix. Exiting the matrix is for pussies, you know? I'm not a coward. Like, I can embrace this world. I can embrace this world harder than I've ever embraced it. I've been rejecting this whole time. I didn't realize I was rejecting it. And so then when I see stuff like this, it's like huge eye roll. It just takes me back to how annoyed I was perceiving this human behavior and human exchange. Instead of what can we do to work together, it's what can I do to put myself up here and put you down there some more and make people laugh because I'm so freaking funny. And it was all stupid. It was all just big bubble brain, dumb, stupid crap. And so here I'm visiting the Pentagon, and it's dumb, stupid crap. And it's supposed to be intelligent. And so the wise Pentagon ascends into being a ring, okay? And what's interesting is they showed me a version of the Pentagon that exists in time and space. And it's a weird looking building, okay? And it literally is like a planet, like Saturn. But it's a building at the center, okay? This is the beginning, okay? And then as it expands, I don't know how it perceives its own expansion, but it creates rings and actually has buildings that are in shapes of rings that keep expanding outward until there's like 1,000 rings. But they told me that the Pentagon, in all time and space, has a beginning and has an end, just like the tree. Now, the Pentagon is seeking a way to take a pinpoint of time, and in that pinpoint of time, then create a reality inside that pinpoint of time, a reality where we find the container. So you know how people might talk about we live in a 3D reality, and then those in a 4D reality then can look into our 3D reality. They can see us, but we can't see them, kind of thing, okay? And so this is, we're going to create the structure of the universe, and then we're going to put people inside this universe, but we're going to be the ones that understand the actual matrix. We're going to be the creators of that matrix, and then you, other people, are going to be the data points within that matrix. It's starting to sound like an AI thing, right? So is the matrix something that we live in right now, or is the matrix something that we create in the future? We're just being introduced to it now as an idea or a concept for the pathway of human growth and development. It's just an idea, right? But imagine that there's intelligence and research going into, well, how can we make it so people don't age? How could we create a reality and put people into it, and then we could be God, and then these people, we would just decide their fate, and then we can just live in there forever, never age, and actually create our own universe, and then we would be God in that universe. And there's actual studies into this. That's what the energy was emanating. So is that real? Is that not real? Is that somewhere in the future? Is that right now? That I ran into that, okay? Now, what's interesting is the second time I went and visited the Pentagon, which I'll visit the Pentagon with all you guys here in a journey. The second time I visited the Pentagon, and obviously my guides were asking me, you know, what are you looking for? Like, what is it that you want to know about the Pentagon? It's like, well, how am I supposed to know what I want to know in the Pentagon? All I want to know is that it's like whatever is in the highest good of our collective at this time, and I don't know what that is. And then I told them too, and don't make it boring. And then their response to this is, what is in the greatest good of our collective is actually for us to stop seeking to be entertained all the time. And so really I should be providing something extremely boring, because that would actually be in our greater good. Because if we are that bored, then we will find something truly worthwhile inside ourselves. And so I was like, okay, well, that's not going to do me good, because I am going to try to create some information inside that people might be intrigued by, and to be intrigued by something is slightly entertaining. So, so let's just get to this Pentagon thing, right? And what about energy protection? They were showing me the Pentagon is protecting itself from the world, actually. It requires protection from the world, and it's actually quite the infection on our planet. Energetically, that's what it represented, okay? And so you can say whatever you want about that, but on the energy side of things, it really, we are the demons, and that it is in itself having to protect itself from us. So the scene was the human race, we all, like, let's just say everybody in the United States, let's just say everybody just in the United States, we gather around the Pentagon and we say, open your doors. We demand to know what's going on in here. The Pentagon will actually get a red flag and say this is a military level event, and we need to make sure to protect ourselves from these people who have obviously gone insane. So they will hunt you down and they will remove you from society. That's how terrified the Pentagon is of the population turning and looking at it and seeking to know what is going on inside of it. That is its greatest fear. What's your greatest fear? So it has to protect itself from us. And then what I found out going on inside the Pentagon, here's another one, is the Pentagon is doing research in order to, this is all conspiracy theory level stuff. I don't think it's going to surprise anybody, but it's seeking a way to create distraction on a level of hypnosis. And it's trying to figure out how to do this, how to actually take biological people and then create a hypnosis across the entire globe. So the Pentagon then rules the world, okay? So I don't know who decides that the Pentagon needs to rule the world, but somewhere inside the Pentagon, there's research going on, and perhaps it's not in the Pentagon. Maybe it's being projected over here to this other branch that nobody needs to know about, so it's not really the Pentagon. And so that is part of the filing cabinet, though. That is part of what's going on in the Pentagon, in the unwise shape that it is. And so if we are if we are under a hypnosis study as we speak, if the human race is under a hypnosis study as we speak, so then we're never inspired to look in its direction. We're always inspired to look somewhere else. And so the Pentagon will always be safe from us. And then what then becomes of us? And so how is the Pentagon wanting to herd the sheep of the human race? Slowly but surely, it's acquiring the data that it needs in order to achieve its goal. And perhaps its ultimate goal is then, who knows, a freaking matrix. So energetically, that's what it was like visiting the Pentagon. Energy protection at its finest. Hypnotize the human race so the human race doesn't ever disrupt the Pentagon and all of its studies. It is a library. It is a library. And that feeling comes back up inside myself, the one I was talking about, where I'm just so frustrated that I didn't even want to live in this world because it was so annoying to me, because people wear so many masks all the time. And then they make you wear masks too. And it's like, because the world can't cope with speaking authentically and honestly, it's too straightforward. It's TMI, too much information. Let's not get too raw with it. Let's make it soft and lighthearted. Ha ha ha. Or maybe we just need to be real about things. Maybe it's good to be real about things. A world that is afraid of being real is one that lives in an illusion. I don't want to live in an illusion. I want to live in the real world. And I don't care how scary it is. I just want to live in the real world and I want to work through it. So that's why I'm working on creating an exploration on Patreon, February of 2025. That's why I was kind of inspired to do this Pentagon thing and talk about energy protection and in this raw, real way. And I do understand that sometimes we need a little bit of a helping hand to get to that point of the ultimate heroic strength to just live. And maybe we need a superficial fantasy level realities to, saturate ourselves with in order to get through each step of this cruel and difficult cold world. It's more that you realize. It's like there's a one time I didn't really know for sure, do I need these crystals? Why would I want these crystals? Because they're authentically of their own frequency. Am I of that frequency, or do I need them to fill in the holes within myself so I can work with these crystals then so I too can vibrate of that frequency? If I decide that there's holes in my frequency, then there are holes. And so until the day comes where I say I don't need these crystals anymore, then that is when I am taking ownership that I am whole. And when you start to own your inner light, and your inner light, it will stand there like Jesus, as present as ever, as authentic as ever, as true to himself as ever, as loving and forgiving as ever. That is light. That is power. And part of that Pentagon, the second exploration, was that we didn't need the Pentagon. We just needed each other, and we need to start developing our intelligence together and sharing it with one another. And maybe that is the power of TikTok and YouTube. Maybe that is the power of us if we start focusing on what matters most, instead of filling in the gaps of our life with hours of, mindless information that we'll never remember. But it's just what we need right now, apparently. It's like that Chinese New Year intermixed with Elon Musk and an AI world that is going to save humanity, intermixed with, are children growing up in this world ever going to find their human nature, or will they find AI? And what is that going to mean for the human race? It's like, let go of worry. Don't put worry first. It's good to think about things. It's very good to think about things. But come back to being you and animating yourself as you, You are powerful as your light. And don't be afraid to be you. Even if you derail people, just being yourself. Maybe you have to derail some people to figure out who you are. And then find out what it all means. But if you genuinely care about the well-being of others, and you're genuinely trying your best, I don't think that anybody else could ask for more of you, or that you could ask for more of yourself in the process of self-discovery. So, as I said, I was going to do a journey into the Pentagon with all of you, and I didn't even finish telling you about my Patreon idea, because I wanted to teach people, which I haven't crafted the schedule yet for February, and we're already in February, because I haven't pinpointed it quite yet. Like, it's very important to me to put my finger on exactly what this exploration is going to be. And I want to teach people that there's nothing to be afraid of. Because once you let go of your fear and you go through all the layers, you don't even realize there's things you're afraid of. You didn't even realize it until you start to discover that it overwhelms you to be in this pickle that you're in. And you could say, well, I'm not afraid. It's like, but you're avoiding, but you're resisting, but you're full of anxiety, but you're not sleeping at night. And so there is something of a fear that you're not facing there. And so what is the ultimate fear for any human being? The ultimate fear when it comes to the spirit realm is a space of hell or demons. And I'm going to tell you right now, because Patreon, I want to explore these kinds of topics, and I haven't pinpointed, like I said, exactly how I want to explore it. But I want to create a learning space in February where I can teach people to find a fearless relationship with the spirit realm, which to me, an interdimensional universe isn't just a spirit realm, it's an everything realm. Everything is there. It's just, you should see it just like consciousness. It's just interdimensional consciousness. So if you want to go into a realm of hell, you have to ask yourself, what makes you nervous about that? What makes you feel uncomfortable about that? What would make you feel uncomfortable to go to the Pentagon or visit some living person on the planet? Maybe go visit a demon. Maybe go talk to Satan sometime. And what would be appalling and terrifying about that? Because everything is information. That's all it is. Everything that you go through is information. And yes, you can deduce it down to something that very simple. So here's an example. Let's say you have a child, they fall off their bike, they skin their knee. That is a wound, right? And so should you be terrified of that wound? Should you feel manipulated by that wound? Should you run away screaming from that wound? Or shall you help that child, pick them up, and go get some peroxide, some Neosporin, put the Band-Aid on there and help them feel better? And so what's a wound look like in the energy world? Hell. How do you feel when you skin your knee? You feel like you're in hell, right? Same thing. It's just information. So is hell a manipulative space? Is hell controlling your life? Or is it no different than a child skinning their knee? And so navigating realms of hell, or actually facing your own inner demon or some demon out there, all it is information. And so if you start to get this squeeze inside yourself that it makes you feel gross and disgusted and icky, that means you're digesting the frequency of the wound that then is the demon or is the hell space. You are actually healing it by digesting the frequency of it. And so when you digest the frequency of it, you'll feel ickiness. It's not that you're being possessed or you're being controlled or something is saturating you in the yuck. You're just that angelic, okay? That you need to be taught about your personal power. So here I am. Here I'm teaching you about your personal power. I don't know of many people that can talk about this stuff. So here I am. I'm a valuable asset to humanity. So I can talk to you about this stuff, okay? And so I want to teach about this stuff on Patreon in February, and I hope to have that schedule crafted soon. We're really getting into February already, but it's just like I've made these videos and I haven't posted them. It's like, I really value consistency, but sometimes you get these curveballs and then you just start flinging way out in orbit, and it's hard to slingshot yourself back to the ground where consistency happens. I'm so constantly in this vat of transformation. I don't know who I am from one day to the next. So then I find myself here in this chair, and I've got to do this. Even if I get interrupted, I'm going to come back and I'm going to complete this video with all of you, and I'm going to tell you about all this stuff, and then bam, I did it. All right, so patreon.com/Abbey Normal's Wisdom Quest. Schedule will be happening soon. And I will pinpoint exactly how I want to teach this in the Love and Light tier, where I teach psychic development, which is all conversational and actual practice time with me and with others. And it's really fun and open-minded. It's comforting, actually, to meet like-minded people and just talk about what we're comfortable with, not comfortable with, what it means to us, everything. We just lay it out on the table, right? But I also do energy healing there on very specific topics, so you can receive some energetic support and an energy activation, some channeled wisdom, and more discussion. So it's an exploration. It's a spiritual awakening kind of experience. But yeah, something about energy protection, realms of hell, facing demons, and finding your fearlessness is my theme for February. I think so. I'll keep you posted. Shall we go to the Pentagon now? Third time's a charm here. Okay. So I'm just going to relax. And I was talking to my guys, like, man, I've done some work already in the Pentagon. It's none of it's been captured until now. And I'm determined to get to share something here with everybody on this. And maybe an intermix, something new that I haven't talked about. The Pentagon, energy protection. Oh yeah, there was something that I did. I actually took the Pentagon, which was like a festering cancerous tumor. And I chose to take that energy and then remove it from our planet. Because you don't want an energy that once it's gone out of balance and it becomes sick within itself, then we need to do something about that. It's just like a human being. If they become sick within themselves, they need an intervention. So the Pentagon needs an intervention. So the Pentagon can become an ascended version of itself. I mean, it can become the ring, the one ring that binds them all. No, it's actually a nice place to go visit. It represented and honored something about the power of the ring and how it expands in the tree and on the pond. Something about nature was intertwined, and an honoring of the expansion of time was intertwined with the space of intelligence. And it was a cosmic library. We can all have the best intelligent research, and we all have access to it, and it betters everybody's life. So God forbid we work together. God forbid. Sarcasm, by the way, sarcasm. Okay, let me see. So yes, there was that happened. What else about the Pentagon? I'm in a journey state right now, so I'm waiting for the information to come to me. They want me to go visit it again now that I'm back for a third round. They want to know if I see it still there or if I see it removed. Because I did remove its meaning from the planet. That was my choice. I altered the fabric of its existence, which then challenges it to confront itself in the mirror, that which it is. It's not just a place where a bunch of people work. It's a consciousness. It's a collective. It has goals. I see there's a big giant eyeball and a hole. And I see beneath, like I dig this out, and beneath the ground here, there's a woman, a big giant woman the size of the planet. And she also represents a snake too. Big giant snake and a big giant woman as one. But she has two eyes. And they don't look like snake eyes, they look like a woman's eyes. Like pretty with lashes. There's a pretty face. That's somehow snake-like. And I give her a big hug because I seem to recognize her as she emanates love and balance and harmony. And I see that image of the snake biting its own tail, but it doesn't bite its own tail. It's exploring loops of learning across infinite time and space. Why is it a woman? It has to do with what we call our planet, Mother Earth, right? It's the mother, the nurturer. And she shows me the apples on the tree. Nurture us. But everything needs to have its counterpart in order to be balanced. The woman needs the man, and the man needs the woman. Otherwise, there is no human race. And even the plants need it, and the animals need it, their counterpart. She shows me that the universe, it nurtures her, it's a woman, the planet, the stars, the universe feed her, nurture her, feed her information and ingredients. Seems like if a meteor falls upon the earth receives it and learns from it about the universe. And she wants to bring humanity back to the spirit of what helps it grow. This is a long conversation, by the way. I've got the Pentagon out of the way here, and what's weird is I'm starting to see an echo of it in my mind. It's like an eye looking back at me, always watching. It's like a barrier between our heart, the planet, and the illusions that it creates in order to guide us to being the way it needs us to be, like a mom and dad that's controlling and manipulative, but for our greater good, right? This is just nature, and nature is nature, and nature is not always nice, but nature also is nice. Nature is honest. Nature is what it is. And nature teaches us to find our balance. There's a reason why the trees were a part of my journey with the Pentagon. I didn't tell you that if we go the pathway where we create our own universe, and let's say we upload our consciousness into that universe, and so there's those that understand what actually created that universe. They are the gods of that universe then. And then what are you in that universe? That there will not be real trees there. They will be artificial trees. It's a tree say that if the human race were to stop time to capture just a mere pinpoint, when everything is frozen then in time, the trees will not be there, because the trees choose to grow within the rings. Like they choose to honor the rings of growth. That will not honor the rings of growth. And so it is an imprisonment, it is an imprisoning growth. Also growth, but it's about as flat as a pane of glass, you know? It's a very flat experience for a soul. It's actually, it could be a three-dimensional reality, but it's in a much smaller exploration of existence, because it has to be controlled. And yes, there's rules to our world. So those rules then create the parameters that we exist within. And then we work with those parameters. And some of it is like the logic, and some of it is the creativity. And then that's how we grow in our universe. So you could say, perhaps this universe is being controlled. There's something quite lovely, though, about it. And so when I silence everything that is human and experience that loveliness, there's so many threads, so many frequencies, so much happening, such an adventure everywhere. I feel nurtured in my soul about it. I'm supposed to do something, but I don't really know what I don't really know what it means. I'm basically standing in a location. Is this on Earth? Is this somewhere else? It seems to be in the stars. As there's some beings standing here. I can't really tell you what they look like, but they're wearing brown with some golden threads in it. I just want to take a minute. I tell him this is a little strange for me because I don't know what you have to do with this conversation. Basically telling me something about time and transformation, and that we're turning the page as a human race. We're turning the page. I get kind of annoyed by these messages because we're always turning the page, but this is a big page, okay? Represents a big page. And again, when is it not a big page? I don't like these kinds of messages because I feel like they're too fantastic, and I like to get level-headed with things. But they show me what looks like a giant snowball that they're holding in their hands. And these are all men, and they all have black skin. And they're handing me this big snowball. And it's cold. And as soon as I touch it, I instantly start to weep. And they show me that encased in the snowball is the hearts of mankind. And the goal to freeze all of our hearts is one way also to stop time. But our hearts must stay warm and they must keep beating. They say this is valuable information. This is intelligence. It is very intelligent to remember to keep your heart warm, keep it beating. Let's say, show me pictures of people who have been beaten down by life and they become cold. They ask me if I've become cold in my life. I say I refuse it, but I cry a lot because I want to be alive and I want to feel things, because I'm not going to deny myself my feelings. Yeah, I want to feel alive, even if it hurts. They ask me if I'm warm enough to warm hearts on the planet. I say I'll give it my best shot. And I find myself going inside the snowball, and we all can go inside the snowball and warm the hearts of another as best we can. We can also leave reminders too, because sometimes we can only do our best before it's time to say goodbye. And then we will be a memory in that person's life, but we did our very best as much as we could to warm their heart until we couldn't endure that process anymore. So we keep coming back to keep this planet warm and alive. And refuse to let it turn to snow and ice here. I also see souls trapped in snow and ice, and it's almost like they're timed out by a frequency alteration. And how do you bring those souls back? They show me a very cold hell. They say this is intelligence. It's intelligent to know these things. How do you save souls? They're reminding me of a conversation I recently had about haunted houses. And I'm not a fan of haunted houses because what created a haunted house? Pain and suffering created a haunted house. So we get off on, ooh, it's so creepy and scary in here. This is fun. But that's our brother and sister in there. Shattered soul in there that you're enjoying. Immersing yourself in the pain of this place to see how long you can tolerate it. Imagine you're that pain. Imagine you're the one stretching your hand down asking for help. Now how fun is it? You know, when you know those things, you start to wake up and say, wow, the value of souls, the value of healing, the value of mending it all. And that is awakening, that is waking up, and you can't be hypnotized when you are listening. When you're present with yourself, when you slow down, when you silence all the outside noise and you actually get in touch with yourself from the inside. Find out who you are. Why are you living this life, right? They hug all of us, and they do tell us that there are beings that are watching over our world, and that we also are watching over our own world, even when we are living in the bodies and we can't see it from the higher perspective. We also are watching over our world, and that's why we are here. We are keepers of the planet. They want me to become one with this big snake, this female Mother Earth representation here. They say it's more than that. They say there's so much to unearth, there's so much to dig up and present, and they're quite excited because they say as this page turns that we're going to be given access to more information, more intelligence. And so what is all the best kept secret that is afraid of the people that must then control the people of the world, not just the United States, of the world? And that's a tumor, and that's disharmony, and that's not helping the human race grow. And that now is removed from the energetic fabric. Now that energy is silent, and now other things can be heard. That they show me we are turning this chapter, and that so much is going to be unearthed. And they're really showing me that it is a resource to all. What is unearthed will be a resource to all human beings. It's not just for these human beings, not for those human beings. Oh, you've got a lot of money. Okay, cool. You can be part of our club, but not those people. No, it's not about your wealth. It's about everybody having access. And they say that there are very good people on our planet, very wealthy people that are good, poor people that are good, middle-class people that are good, and people in every country that are good. They say, remember, there are good people on our planet, and good people are protecting the good things of our world. And we must, it's almost like send light and love and let that goodness grow bright. Because it's the goodness that wants to heal all things. It's what's gone cold that wants to make it all get cold. And so don't let yourself get cold. Don't let your heart become a snowball. This is what is going to change the world. This is how you will change the world. That's what they say. Alrighty. Well, there you go. I did it. Nice long message. The Pentagon, energy protection, a little look into Elon Musk and AI stuff. Chinese New Year, don't worry about a thing, okay? Don't worry about a thing. Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. That's like a Bob Marley thing, right? That's good. It's a good song. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your kind comments. I'll see about getting those other videos out there. There's a lot of current events going on, so I'm wanting to dive into what is happening in the world and give you perspective on it. I wish you all well. If I can help you in an individual session, I share energy healing and wisdom, support you with any goals. I can look into anything and share perspective. You can go to my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com to book a session. Also Patreon again. If you're interested in seeing what I'm up to in February, it will be posted soon. Patreon.com/abbeynormalswisdomquest. Have a great day.